everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In case you're not aware, it is actually Lesbian Visibility Week this week and today is Lesbian Visibility Day, so I thought it was no better time than to talk about some of my favourite lesbian books. Lesbian Visibility Week really encourages everybody to stand in solidarity with the lesbian community, and as a firm ally I really wanted to use this opportunity to talk about some sapphic books. If you didn't know, I absolutely adore reading queer books. In this video I'm going to be sharing some of my favourite sapphic books with you and also some of the ones that are on the top of my TBR and that I'm hoping to get to very soon. I do have to give a massive shout out to Theresa at Sappho's Library. She's been spreading awareness on her Instagram over the past few weeks and she has a photo challenge that you should definitely get involved with if it's not too late to do so. She has definitely inspired me to make this video. She is an Own Voices lesbian reviewer, she makes incredible videos and she gives the best book recommendations. No word of a lie. So there are a mix of genres that I'm going to talk about today. Normally, you know me, I do speak about fantasy quite a lot, but there's actually a lot of contemporary and YA within this pile as well. So there is something for everybody, I hope. Let's just get recommending books. Okay, so the first category I actually want to talk about are retellings. So I love a good fairy tale retelling and I love it when it involves sapphic romance. So I have three that I'm going to speak about. So the first one I have actually been raving about recently. I was lucky enough to read it before publication, but it is actually out now. You can all go and buy it and I highly suggest you do so. And it is Malice by Heather Walter. This is actually a sapphic retelling of Sleeping Beauty. It is a pre-story for the villain and it is just done so well. So in this book we follow our main character Alice, who is the villain. She is the Dark Grace. She has magic that is feared by all of the kingdom and it is actually magic from her kind that has cursed the Princess Aurora, and the princess has only got a year left to break the curse before she dies. And to break the curse she has to kiss her one true love, and Alice thinks that maybe if her magic is what cursed Aurora, then her magic might be able to break it. And honestly, it is just incredible. I was hooked all the way through, but like the ending really, yeah. It's just so good. I gave this 5 stars. It really is one of the best retellings I have ever read. Yeah, this one I will be recommending with my full chest and I really hope some of you go and pick this up. The next one is a Cinderella retelling and I think we all know which book I'm going to be recommending, and it is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. This is set 200 years after Cinderella, where the story of Cinderella is kind of like the Bible in this society, and we follow our main character Sophia in this story. So essentially every year the girls of age have to go to a ball and they have to be picked by suitors, but Sophia doesn't want to go because she doesn't want to be chosen and she fears that the girl that she's in love with might be chosen as well. So it just follows that story and it is done so cleverly. Like, it's based on Cinderella but it's set afterwards, so we've got all of the root knowledge of the story already. It's kind of like reading the third book in a series already. It's just super clever and I loved what this author did. Super diverse cast of characters and I highly recommend. And the last one in the retellings category that I want to recommend is something I read very recently, and it is Ruin Song by Julia Ember. This is actually a Phantom of the Opera retelling. It's something I discovered very recently and as soon as I heard about it I was like, damn, I really need that in my life. So a huge thank you to Molly at Mind of Molly for gifting me this and buddy reading it with me. So we essentially follow our main character Cadence, and she has been gifted with corporal magic. So essentially when she sings certain songs she can cast spells with the magic. So the new queen is actually really against all of the nobles, and every year there is the performing where Cadence, as the most powerful mage, has to sing a song that is going to harm nobles and teach them a lesson so that they stay in line for another year. So this year it's Cadence's first performing, and in the audience is Remy, who was sort of like her childhood sweetheart. They were best friends growing up, but then Remy had to move away because the nobles were no longer welcome in the palace and Cadence became the queen's property almost. So it's about them meeting again about 10 years later and how they come together to try and confront the queen and her barbaric behaviour essentially. It's amazing. I've never read a Phantom of the Opera retelling before. I would say it's very loosely based on Phantom, like it's not, like the plot I couldn't really see bits of the plot in it, I'll be honest, but the song magic is a super unique concept. I've never read anything like it before. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was super unique, super fast paced. It didn't take me long to read this one at all, but I really, really did enjoy it. Next up, I'm going to be recommending 3 young adult contemporaries that I really, really enjoyed. And the first one is The Falling in Love Montage by Kiara Smith. This was actually the Rainbow Readers Book Club pick for February, and I had never heard of it before then, but when I read it, I absolutely fell in love with the story and the characters. Just be mindful of a trigger warning for dementia in this book, but other than that, it is just magical. So we follow our main character Theresa, who is an out lesbian, and she goes to a party and she meets Ruby at the party, who is her like enemy kind of. It's his cousin who is staying in town, and they agree to make their own falling in love montage. So they get talking about movies and how it's always a male and female romance within movies, so they decide to do their own falling in love montage. But there is one rule, and it is that they can't actually fall in love. It's just going to be a summer falling in love montage, and then they will go back to their lives. But it is not that simple, and I just loved it. I get goosebumps when I think about it. It was such a feel-good book. I actually read the majority of this within a day. I loved it so much, and I'm really looking forward to actually rereading this at some point. And I'm also very excited to read Not My Problem by this author, which is coming out very soon, I believe. The next one I'm going to recommend actually wasn't my favourite, I'm going to be honest, but I think it's to do with when I read it, and honestly, I see nothing but glowing reviews for this book, so I did want to mention it in this video, because just because I didn't enjoy it that much, it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't enjoy it. Genuinely, I am in the minority when I say it wasn't my favourite book, and it is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is essentially set in a high school. Prom is coming up, and we are following our main character Liz. She is trying to afford a scholarship for her chosen university / college. It is American, so she decides to run for prom queen. However, at this high school, you're not really allowed to stray from the norms. You have to go to prom with a boy. There's never been a black prom queen before. The new girl in school, Mac, is also running for prom queen, and Liz and Mac form a friendship, form a bond, and it follows their story. It is a really, really sweet book. I did read it really quickly. I found it a little bit cliche and a little bit cheesy. However, if that's something that you enjoy, then this is definitely going to be a book for you. And then the final YA contemporary that I want to recommend is The Henna Wars by Adaba Jagirda. You'd have seen I read this in my Sapphic vlog, and I absolutely loved it with my whole heart. We follow our main character Nishat, who is from a Bengali family, and she comes out as a lesbian, but her family just refuse to accept it. They sort of sweep it all under the carpet, and she goes to school, and there's a business competition, and she reconnects with her childhood friend Flavia, and they both sort of create a henna business, and they're in competition, but they sort of fancy each other, and it's just about all the conflicts and the heartache of school life and coming out to a religious family and being a Bengali lesbian. It's just so raw and honest and beautiful and incredible, and I loved it so, so much. I gave this 5 stars. The writing in this is just exceptional, and the representation is phenomenal as well. I genuinely couldn't fault it, and it was amazing to read about Bengali rep along with lesbian rep. I'm now going to talk about 3 of my favourite fantasies that feature lesbian characters. You'd have heard me speak about all 3 of these before, so I will just do a brief description of them all. So the first one I'm going to talk about is These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. This is the first book in a duology, I believe, and we basically just follow Sapphic witches. It's fantastic, it's fun, it's just amazing. I loved it. We follow our main character Hannah and her ex-girlfriend Veronica, and they're both in the same coven, but dealing with the fact that they're exes is the least of their problems, because there is some dangerous magic in town, and Hannah is convinced that it is the work of a blood witch. So they're dealing with this, and Hannah also meets new girl in town, Morgan, and they sort of hit it off. So yeah, they're dealing with the problems of their coven while also scoping out this new potential relationship, and it's a lot of fun. It's fantastic. I cannot wait to pick up book 2 when it's released in paperback. The next one comes with some very heavy trigger warnings. However, it is one of my favourite books of all time, and it is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Yang. This follows our main character Lei. It is set in a society where there are 3 castes. There's paper caste, steel caste and moon caste, and whichever caste you are in determines your rank in society. The king is a moon caste, and every year he chooses 8 paper caste girls to become his concubines, and Lay gets chosen for her golden eyes. She actually becomes the 9th paper girl, and it just follows her story in the palace and how she fights and defends herself and tries to attempt to get out of this situation, essentially. The sapphic romance in this is genuinely the most beautiful I have ever read, and the continuation into the second book is just incredible. I cannot wait for the 3rd and final book in this trilogy to be released at the end of the year. It's one of my favourite books of all time. I will forever be recommending it. It's just stunning. Like I will always say, some very heavy trigger warnings to be aware of, but the author just does it so tastefully. It is truly, truly such a beautiful book. And the last one I'm going to speak about is The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. Sapphic romance is a subplot in this book. I don't want anyone to buy it thinking that there's going to be a hell of a lot of sapphic romance. However, it is brilliantly done what there is within this book, and I'm really, really hoping that there's going to be a lot more in the second book in the series. But essentially we're following 5 girls as they run away as outcasts from their working house. They are branded girls and used essentially as prostitutes, but one night they escape, and it is just about their journey of trying to remove the brands that they have been given by this house. It's a fantastic story. I loved it so much. I don't see it spoken about enough, so I will forever continue to recommend it. It's just amazing, and again, I cannot wait to read the second book in this series. Now I'm just very, very quickly going to run through some books that are on my immediate TBR. I'm really hoping to get to some of these very, very soon. I won't talk a whole lot about them because I don't know a whole lot about them and I don't want to do them any injustices, but yes, I'll just quickly run through them. There's 5 in my pile. So the first one is Love, Frankie by Jacqueline Wilson. This has been on my radar for a while now. As soon as I heard that Jacqueline Wilson was writing a sapphic book for the middle grade age, I thought I need a bit of that. I'm super duper excited to be reading this. It's super special that this author has written this book, and I really hope that I enjoy it as much as I used to enjoy her other stuff as a child. The next one is Girl Serpentthorne. I really don't know anything about this. I do know it's standalone fantasy, and I think there's some Asian influences within this book. I'm really, really excited for it. I've heard incredible things, and yes, I'm really hoping to pick this one up in May, and I may do another sapphic vlog. Don't hold me to that, but it would be great if I could do that, obviously. So I'm hoping that I'm going to love it as much as I loved all of the books in my previous sapphic vlog. Then we've got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. From what I know of this book, there are a lot of queer characters, but I believe there are sapphic characters in this book as well. I've seen nothing but glowing reviews for this whole series. I've kind of been putting off reading the first book, not knowing if I'll need the other 4 books immediately afterwards, but I'm hoping to take the plunge very, very soon because I'm just too excited. I don't want to keep putting it off. Then we've got House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is a very new release. I spoke about this in my anticipated releases video, but it's fantastic to have my hands on it already. Really, really excited about it. The story sounds fantastic, and the sisterly bond element I think is going to be something that I'll really enjoy as well. Then the last one is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This is a big book. It is very intimidating to me, but I have heard amazing things, so I'm super, super excited to get to it soon. This is, I believe, high fantasy. I will also hopefully leave links in the description box of some of Theresa's videos because she has done some amazing recommendation videos. Every time I watch one of her videos, I add about 5 books to my wish list. So I'm slowly ploughing through all of the books that she recommends. So I'll definitely link all of those below. Those are some of my sapphic book recommendations. I really, really hope that I spoke about something that interests you and that you are potentially going to go out and buy some of these books. Being an ally to lesbian women is super important, and we should definitely all be reading lesbian books, not just this week, but every single week of the year. The same goes for all elements of diversity. If you did enjoy this video, it would mean the world to me if you gave it a like and subscribed to my channel. I do post bookish content regularly. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!